3 crucial steps to stay married long term. The Marriage Pros has it. I'm Mafuchi, that's Jay right there. We're going to talk about it. But hey, before we do, if you make it to the end of the show, please like, subscribe. It helps us, it helps all of you because we'll return it back, for sure. So, I'm going to get to Jay over here. I think one of them, Jay, is we all go through it. We don't like it sometimes. I don't like confrontation, but it's going to happen. And when that happens, it's going to be an argument. The one thing I'll say is, don't leave the argument. If you don't like it, too bad. This is what you agreed to when you got married. You have to talk things out. And I'll say for me, it's taken me years, and I think even from the beginning of this year, to learn I can't leave this conversation. Even if it's easy, even if I'm a person that can sleep angry per se, I shouldn't leave it. We should really delve deep into what's going on and find resolution. And that's what my wife says, because sometimes when my wife and I get into an argument, she tends to get loud and the kids hear it, but she ends up saying, you know what, I know this doesn't seem right on paper that they're listening to this, but it helps, especially if they see that there's a resolution at the end of it. So, staying there for the argument, for resolution. Jay, what do you say about that? How do you handle an argument when it comes to you and the missus?
Yeah, so we just talked about this not too long ago. It's like how you don't like confrontation. I asked my wife, like, do you think I'm confrontational? Do you think I like it? She kind of paused, like, yeah. I was like, you're right. I am kind of confrontational. So I don't mind conflict, but that's more about people who I don't like. So when my wife and I have a disagreement, what we'd like to do is actually, like, depending on how far apart we are on the actual conversation, like if it makes me upset, I'm gonna need a few days to kind of cool down and then kind of think about it, reflect on it. And she's more the same way. She just wants time to reflect on whatever the issue is, get her thoughts together, and then we can come together later on. So, cause we don't have a lot of conflict or anything like that. We'll disagree a lot because we're just two different people. But anything as far as we know something we need to sit down and discuss, I was like, hey, can we talk later? Or she'll say, I have something to discuss with you later. I'm like, all right, cool. So it's more of just like, make sure you're understanding what the person is saying. I think we had something not too long ago, but this wasn't like anything big or anything, but it was like, I said something, I felt she didn't hear me. I was like, yeah, I told you this. And she's like, well, I didn't hear it. I'm like, of course you didn't hear it, type of thing like that. But I know she's busy, and then when it comes to her work, a lot of her mental capacity is drained by the end of the day. So I don't make it too big a deal of it. But yeah, anything as far as an argument, you kind of want to nip that in the bud, because if you don't take care of it in a timely manner, I'm going to say, it's going to fester. Someone's going to get more irate down the line, and then when something small comes up, you're going to have this big old argument about something that happened weeks or months ago that you shouldn't handled within that time period of frame. So I agree, don't walk away. You want to just make sure you get the argument, disagreement settled, so you can guys go back, have a cohesive relationship instead of it going off the rails and like, you know what, this is where I want to divorce. Because a lot of people think, oh, if we don't agree, this is a place where, okay, we can end the relationship. And it's like, okay, no, try to work it out. If you're supposed to be together and it's not something major, just take care of it.
Right, Jay. And that just reminded me when the missus and I, and we have a discussion, I'll call it, early in the day, and then both of us can see that it's not going to get resolved right then and there, we'll both kind of break in our own way. We're still upset and angry about it, but we'll be like, okay, let's give ourselves a little space, try to come back to it, and that does happen. So on my case, it kind of helps if it's early, because we get time, like Jay said, give each other our space and just move forward, and then we're able to collect our thoughts, and then we put out exactly what we wanted to say instead of speaking in the heat of the moment. So definitely there is that aspect. So there you go, somebody's one of the steps that are crucial. Now somebody's the second crucial step. So you can stay married long term. You gotta face the missus. You get into a room, you sit her down, you're still standing up. And then, hey, guys, you unzip the pants and you just whip your thing out and just say, hey, I have this, I am dominant, I rule you, so you're gonna listen to me. That's how it goes. We're gonna get this done. That is how this relationship is going to go. It's just the way it is.
Wait. No.
What, Jim?
No.
What?
Is this what you really think how a marriage should go?
This is the second
Telling
step.
your wife to sit down. Second step, my ass. What are you talking about? What does your wife think of you saying this on camera, for one, for the people to see? Why? I should ask her. You know what? I should text your wife a message and say, why are you still married to this guy? How are you guys still married if this is how you think?
Look, Jay, you're gonna interrupt me, number one. That's strike one. Number two, I'm getting tired of your shit. You mother...
Alright, step number 2 is communication. So, as I always like to say, it's not communication, it's effective communication. So, just being married for 14 years, it'll be 15 in September for me and my wife, it's very important how you guys communicate. And I always say, when you guys have a conversation, have the person kind of give you a bullet point power phrase of what they think they heard, just to make sure you're on the same page. So if I tell my wife, you know what, hey, I'm going to the store, do you want anything? She's not hearing, oh, you're going to the strip club, stuff like that, as an example. So it's very important to keep it's almost like a love language. You need to know how your partner is, how to communicate with them, I'm going to say. So when it comes to understanding what the person is saying, because me and my wife, we had a misunderstanding some months ago, and she told me how she felt. She was like, what did you hear? And I repeated it back to her. She's like, yeah, that's pretty much what I meant and how I wanted to come across. Because I know there's times I've said something where I meant it one way, but my wife took it a different way. So I actually have to break down, say, okay, I'm saying this, I mean it this way, and let me know how you take it, type of thing. So it's like I need to understand how her mind works as far as receiving what I'm trying to say, and vice versa. Because for me, as I always tell my wife, I'm a very literal person. So if you're going to tell me something, you need to tell me exactly what you mean. Don't kind of give me a metaphor or anything like that. Don't be Jesus. Don't give me any parables. Give it to me straight. I know if I know someone well enough, I know when they're joking or playing around. But if you're having a serious conversation with me, I need to be very direct, because that's how literal I am. And that's just me. So you have to find out how your person likes to be communicated to. That's I'll say the secret, because a lot of people can communicate, but they're not doing it well, as far as like, if I'm saying this, you're hearing this, and that's not what I said, or that's not what your partner said. So that's the key thing for me.
Well, I guess since Jay interrupted me, and number 2 is communication. Yes, and as he says, effective communication, because you have to talk to your partner, okay? You talked at the very beginning, but that was sweet talk, and for us guys, we communicate so we can get her in the sack. All right, that's communication. But guys, we have to move past that, and we have to talk about other things. Believe it or not, it's good if you actually talk to her about her interest, because I'm sure from the very beginning she wanted to know your interest. And once you keep progressing in a relationship, it gets to marriage and then kids and whatnot, you got to continue talking to each other. Talk to one another like, hey, this is happening. How do you want to handle it? Or, hey, I'm not able to do this. Can you do it? Things of that nature. Just common things that happen in the marriage. You got to constantly talk to each other so that way you can check in. And especially if one of you is not feeling good, the other one's supposed to be there to, number one, provide support any which way you can, even if it's just emotional, if they just need a hug. Most of the times, that can make wonders. And like Jay said as well, we're not mind readers. If you want us to do something in the literal, say it verbatim, word for word, what you want us to do. And again, I will point out, Jay had a lot of good thoughts here. What did they say, or what did you say, and what was heard? If you're not sure, just take a moment. There's no shame in asking to repeat it, okay? I am not a good listener. Things don't retain with me. So I've learned, because I used to half the time just fake it and say, okay, I think I know what she meant, but more than half the time I didn't, and that got me in trouble. And well, it should. I should have asked for her to repeat it again. That way I know exactly what I was supposed to do. My wife is a much better listener than me. But yeah, you have to keep talking. The talks are going to be more real, and you just have to be there. And then at the end of it, if by the end of the night on every day, both of you are not at each other's throats, then just like Ice Cube says, today was a good day. And that's what you want, somebodies. Now, the third and final crucial step, somebodies, this is very important. You want to stay married long term? You have to revisit each other, because you two may not be the same people from the moment you said I do to however many years it's been. It could even be the end of the first year. You two may change. Something may have happened that it starts with interest. Maybe you're interested in one thing, and now you're interested in something else, and that could kind of change the marriage. It's very important to talk to your partner and let them know, clue them in. Like, hey, this is what's happening, this, that, and the other. So I've spoken about this in one of the videos with this channel, the Marriage Pros. I'm in charge of editing, and I actually found a new passion. I love editing. At the same time, when it comes to filming these shows, it takes time away from my family. So prior to starting this channel, I let my wife know, hey, this is my interest, and I know it's going to take some time away. I will try my best to balance everything with family life and also filming. And she was 100% on board. She was fully supportive of moving forward with this channel. But if she would have said no, then I would have had to rethink what I would do. Because number one has to still be family, and it is. But a close second is this channel with editing. So that's what's changed in my marriage, is that I found something else that I love. And I love this channel. I love this editing. So I'm glad that my wife was able to back me up, as I usually back her up in anything that she would do. So that's just one of the things of how marriages work as well. Jay has mentioned it too, that if one of you change, just have each other's back, even if it's tough. But you just have to do it, especially if you love the person. If deep down you're like, okay, this is challenging, but I'm there for her, or I'm there for him. That's the key thing, is you still have each other's back. So that's how it is, somebodies.
All right, so what I would like to say is, like, have check-ins, and that'll be up to you and your spouse. Either you want to have monthly check-ins, weekly check-ins, quarterly check-ins, stuff like that. Just wanted to make sure if you're still happy, because everyone, you're going to eventually grow. Now, if you're going to grow apart or grow together, that's a completely different thing. So, because I know in our marriage, my wife has changed a little bit. I've definitely changed since we've met, not just being married. Because I know one thing that we're going through right now is, like, my wife, she's eating differently. So she's eating a lot more healthier, and then it's almost taking effect on me a little bit. So I'm eating a little more healthier, and so are the kids. So, like, that's like a little bit of a change where it's like, okay, because she's the one who points out to us in a household, like, okay, this isn't good, and we can kind of either pivot towards this, or have a lot less of that. So the change is going to happen one way or another, and it's just having these type of talks, because before she makes any type of change or anything like that, she's done her research, and then she'll say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm like, one, it helps me get my mind around the change that's about to happen before it goes through. So, okay, I see where she's coming from, this, that, and the other, depending on what the issue is or what the topic is. But every couple's going to change individually and together. And I feel you need to have like a pretty much an in-depth conversation, and not just say, oh, I'm gonna do this, and not kind of check in with your spouse. So, cause whenever I make a change, anything like that, personal, job, anything like that, like, hey, I'm doing this. How you think this is going to affect us? This is how I see it going. Is there anything I'm leaving out, type of thing? So it's like things we're going through right now. Was like, okay, A, B, and C. I like to have plans A through Z, not A through C, A through Z. I like to have backup plans for whatever else we're going through. So I always just say, depending on you and your spouse, have check-ins. Like, are you happy? I'm still happy. If you're not, what's going on? What was the change? How can we fix it? If you want to fix it at all, depending on what's going on. They say the first year of marriage is the hardest. I can't relate to that, because ours is pretty just busy as far as like schedules of work and stuff like that. So I can't relate to that. Then when you have kids, obviously things change. So you have to navigate that season. So you're going to go through different seasons, and it just depends on how you handle it. And for me, it's just always about check-ins. So if you're always checking in with each other, always talking, always having a good communication style and rapport, you should be fine.
Hey, somebodies, Jay and I believed in you. You made it to the end of the show. And guess what? We're going to give away free stuff here. I guarantee you, if you click the like or the subscribe, it's all free. It helps us out. It lets us know that we're not just talking to each other, which I've talked to myself all the time for my whole life. But nonetheless, it just lets them know that hopefully we're helping somebody out, because this is the experience that we have. With that said, I am Mafuchi. That's my co-host Jay. Hey, we'll see you next time.
Later.